Okay, January 9th, 2022, NFL Week 18. Another great week of NFL football. This may have been more than we deserved today, the greatness of this day of football. I mean, it was so many great games right down to the wire. It was so impressive how so many teams showed up, even a couple of teams that didn't have anything to play for other than pride, like the Jaguars, to go out there and knock the Colts out of the playoffs. Very impressive. Didn't see that coming. Uh, Two games I'm going to focus on: Chiefs at Broncos, 49ers at the Rams. On Saturday, we got the Chiefs and the Broncos. So we often hear this phrase that football is a game of inches, and that we can see examples of that every week of football. It's very true. This game showed a big example of that. The Melvin Gordon fumble, I think it was the third quarter, that was returned for a touchdown, was totally the critical play of the game, changed the whole game. I felt like up until that point, the Broncos were in control of the game. They were out physically in the Chiefs. They just had so much more hustle and playing a lot harder than the Chiefs. After the game, I saw a segment where I think the guy's name is Hasselbeck was on ESPN, was breaking down some plays, and he showed maybe 4 to 6 different plays of where the Chiefs defenders were not hustling to the ball, were not aggressively trying to make tackles and win that game. And it was disappointing to see that. From watching, I'm a big fan of the Chiefs and believe in the Chiefs. But like I said, watching that game, Denver was very much in control. That Denver was driving when Melvin Gordon fumbled the ball. They were about to score. They would have went up by 8 points. But the touchdown the Chiefs returned it for gave them a 7-point lead that the Broncos never recovered from. The Broncos are not that good. And it was impressive to see them play like that. But I was not surprised to see the coach get fired this morning, Sunday morning. I'm not surprised to see that. It leaves me wondering about the Chiefs. Like I said a couple of times, the Chiefs, they seem this season to play to the level of their opponents. They don't seem to dominate a lot of teams, and they definitely don't dominate the good teams. We're not Denver's a middle of the road team. We're not even considering them good, and they were having their way with the Chiefs up until that fumble. So, gave me a lot to think about moving forward with the Chiefs. We'll talk about that in a second, the postseason. The 49ers and the Rams, that was a great game. The Rams were up 17-3 at halftime. Seemed to be in total control of the game. But the 49ers, very impressive comeback. They always play hard, though. I'm often impressed with them, how physical they are. Their running game is very good. Lots of times the game goes the way that Garoppolo goes. So he's steady from time to time. My focus was on the Rams. And the Rams, difficult team to figure out. On the surface, they seem great. What I like best about the Rams, at each level, they have a star player, an impact player, someone that can change the game. For instance, on defense, on the 3 levels of defense, up front, they have Aaron Donald. A lot of people consider the best defender in the league. At linebacker, they got Von Miller. He's still got a lot left. I like Von Miller. I mean, he made a sack today. He's often making plays. And in the secondary, they have Jalen Ramsey. Each of those guys got their name called today for making a play. And that's what I'm saying. It's impressive when you have that level of talent at each level of your defense. And then on offense, the offensive line ranks in the top 5. It may have been 3 up to number 3, but anyway, they're a top 5 offensive line, both pass blocking and rushing. Then at the wide receiver, you have Cooper Kupp, who a lot of people considering an MVP candidate. He's not going to win it, but he should be mentioned. Tremendously prolific season this season, the way he's led. He leads all receivers in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. That's super impressive. Their running back, Sony Michel, he's a very capable running back. He's good. He's not a superstar, but he's very good. And that brings us to the quarterback. Matthew Stafford is probably the key to this team. in the past, I would say maybe month, he has not played at the high level that you would want to see the quarterback of this team play at, the quarterback of the top team in the conference. He's not showing that. He definitely has talent to get the job done. The Rams can definitely win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. It's easy to see he has tons of talent. It's just if he brings it on that week, if he's not going to make... He's been turning the ball over a lot, bottom line. He's throwing a lot of interceptions. He threw at least one I remember today, maybe more. But he's turning the ball over. Like I said, they can win the Super Bowl, but I could easily see Matthew Stafford costing them a game. I could see that. Yeah. Still trying to... The Rams, like I said, they got a lot of consideration from me, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So that brings us to, let's talk a second about the postseason. Not going to break down each playoff game, how I think it's going to go. I'm just going to talk about who I think is going to win what. I think I like Aaron Rodgers for MVP. I think that's who's going to win, and I think that's who the writers are going to pick. And you know how sometimes we see someone was MVP, but the writers still give it to who they pick by their criteria or whatever. This season, I think, is going to line up. It's difficult to find someone that has performed on a week-to-week basis at the level that Aaron Rodgers had. I mean, he had the terrible first game against the Saints. He threw 2 interceptions. He's only thrown 2 the rest of the season. I mean, that's unbelievable. So I think he has the top QB rating. The only player comparable to him would probably be Tom Brady. But I think Brady has had a few more bad games than Aaron Rodgers. I want to go with the Packers to win the NFC. With this season, we're so much on a week-to-week basis because we're just a couple of nasal swabs away from a player being out for the week, out of the game with the COVID protocol. So it's difficult to project things, but as things stand now, the Packers seem to be the most complete team to me. And if they're not the most complete team, I wonder about their defense. Offense, I think they're a lock. I think Aaron Rodgers, like I said, is playing better than anyone. My big thing with the Packers, I think back to last season, the playoff game. I think Rodgers made a critical interception just before halftime, and Brady took that and got a touchdown right before halftime. I thought that was the key to the game. But ultimately, I was very disappointed at the end of that game. Rather than go for a touchdown on 4th down, they were 8 yards away. And the Packers kicked a field goal, kicked the ball to Tom Brady, never got the ball back. Lost by maybe a score, I guess it was. They should have went for a touchdown. I can't understand that, how you don't go for a touchdown. You got the MVP, you're 8 yards away. So I question that move by the coach. But this is a new season. We'll see how things go, you know. I like the Packers to represent the NFC. In the AFC, I've been giving it some thought. I want to go with the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think that they're the most proven. I like the Bengals. They can have a spark at any time, but I think they're really young. I don't know if their coaching staff has been tested enough at this point. They could be a season or 2 away from that level of success. And yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. So I think we're looking at Chiefs versus Packers in the Super Bowl. Haven't thought that far ahead of who will win that. I don't know. We'll give that some thought. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's all we're going to talk about in this post is those 2 games that jumped out. We're going to come back and talk about the final game, the Raiders versus the Chargers. That was one of the most amazing games I've ever watched. It was unbelievably great how it went all the way down to the wire. And even with the possibility of a tie, both teams could have gone to the Super Bowl. But the Raiders kind of was forced to go ahead and go for the win. They win on a last-second field goal in overtime. That's how exciting that game was. And both teams, I don't know if both teams played great. I think the Raiders came out and jumped on the Chargers, and the Chargers never recovered. I got a lot of questions about the Chargers' coaching decisions. I thought They went. I thought that that call they went for a 4th and 1 on their own end of the field in the third quarter. They were down by 3 points. I didn't understand that. You could have punted that and played field position there. I mean, to just give the Raiders 3 points right there, I did not understand that. And secondly, in the overtime, when the Raiders were driving with the final drive, seconds on the clock, they ran the ball twice. Looked like they were content to run the clock out, maybe try a long field goal, maybe even accept the tie since both teams would go to the playoffs with a tie. But the Chargers coach decided to call a timeout, and that gave the Raiders time to set up a play, get a first down, get closer, and get a makeable field goal, which they did. I didn't understand the Chargers calling timeout there. After the game, the coach said that it was to get the proper personnel in to play run defense. He wanted to force them to kick a longer field goal. I think he was trying to be cute and save time and go for the victory himself. I think that was not the move to make. A tie would have gotten you into the playoffs. That's what we're playing for, to keep playing. So I really thought that the Chargers coach was so bad that was probably a fireable offense. And that sounds crazy. I mean, this is maybe his second season, I think, or maybe his first season. But that was just horrible management of the game at the end. So, all right, I ran on and talked about that game. I said I wasn't. But like I said, unbelievable great final week of the season. I did not, when I learned that it was an extra game and an extra week would be added to the season, I was a skeptic. I thought that would just lead to a couple of weeks of very poor performances, as a lot of teams would not have much to play for. That has not been the case. The last 3 weeks when I get on here and talk about how the day went, I was very impressed at how even the poor teams played very hard with a big will to win. So that's the greatness of the NFL. Couldn't ask for more from this last week in the NFL. So, all right. So thanks for coming back to the channel, and till the next time we talk. Peace.